So let's begin. First of all, thanks a lot for being here. It's such a great opportunity to discuss your work of art after having experienced it. I was really mesmerized by the Gaia hypothesis, and I would like to see it again also, But to start off, please tell us a little bit about yourself, an introduction, and how you've been working in the art field as an actress, performer, singer, and so many other things. So as an introduction, what would you say about yourself?
So I'm Linderdje. I'm trained as a theater performance maker, and I also studied music theater. And I'm working as a theater maker, performer, actress for quite a while now. I am part of a theater collective where we create mostly documentary theater pieces, and I also create my own solo performances. And those performances are music theater performances where I mostly focus on transforming into non-human characters. There is a word for that I've learned from you. So that's a thing that I do a lot, and I am also working as a teacher in the Artes Academy for Music Theater, and I also work as a coach for other theater makers, performers.
Wow, that's great. So you mentioned a new word that you've learned, which is prosopopeia, which is like a figure of language to refer to the impersonation of non-human entities or animals, or even like objects, if you pretend to be them. And in the Gaia hypothesis, you impersonate a fish, a spacecraft, a human cell, and of course a human dancer. And so was it your intention really to give a voice and expression to these creatures, these objects that are voiceless, that are devoid of language? Is this one of the core intentions of this artwork?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it started for me when I was, I was sort of going in a downward spiral in my climate depression, and I didn't know how to think about the future anymore. And then I came across, quite similarly, like the work of Don Haraway, and I came across the concept of the Gaia hypothesis. And these both things, they sort of proposed to me new ways of thinking and of feeling connected. And because and then it was just a fascination, and it took me a while to understand why it gave me this sort of feeling of connection again. And it was just about, sometimes I can just feel lonely and hopeless, and to feel part of this bigger structure, and to see how we all have a place or something in this world without in any way not acknowledging the responsibility we have and the state that the planet is in right now. In some ways there was like a perspective or hope in it for me. And then I came to think of how to bring that across to an audience. And I feel like if I use my a craft, which is basically as an actor embodying, that maybe is my way of suggesting a form of seducing the audience to make that connection to not only other humans but to the other creatures and the other things that we share. our planet with, and that we need to honor and that we need to acknowledge as at least equal to ourselves. And so it came. It became clear quite soon that I was going to want to do that. And then I have been thinking quite a while about also, can I do that? Is it like morally okay to, to suggest that I would ever know what a fish would want or think? And then I thought, well, if I try to do it in a very responsible way, and also always making very clear that it is a thought experiment and that it's about just trying to do it while also acknowledging that we can of course never ever experience what the other creature is experiencing, then I thought, I think this is my way. And so this is like the conceptual path towards it. But there is also like the playful part that I just, as an actor, I love playing a fish. I love, giving myself the artistic problem of like, how on earth are you going to play a fish? And like, what costume do I need to play a fish? And I think also like, it really brings together also the importance of doing it and also the importance of play, because we need to play and to move beyond our rational, beyond the capacities of what we can reach rationally, to find this new form of knowledge or this other form of connection.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something very interesting for me, which is how we deal nowadays with anxieties or fears or depressions concerning what's going on in the planet and the biodiversity crisis. And through art, through expression, perhaps we can learn some empathy. Like in your t-shirt you have the word empathy, but usually we think of empathy as something between humans. And I think that the Gaia hypothesis opens up an horizon for us to feel empathy in an expanded sense. So how do you feel personally dealing with this eco-anxiety and these fears about the future of the planet through art and through some sort of ethics of empathy?
Yeah, I think I think maybe talking about a solution is like not is not like possible, or that's not the way to go, but moving forward or dealing through empathy, I think is the way of getting out of like just depression and just feeling paralyzed, or feeling like you cannot do anything, is also appreciation. So I think through empathy I'm able to truly admire and appreciate everything that is still there, and that also makes me really want to take care of everything that is still there, and makes me want to try to find a way that does justice to everything there is. And I don't know how, but that makes me want to do it, because I appreciate it so much and because I honor it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what's also very interesting for me is that on stage you are alone. You are the only performer, the only actress, the only singer. And I went to the theater, I was imagining some sort of monologue. And sometimes inside the field of art, sometimes monologues get very egocentric, narcissistic, very self-centered. And this play is very surprising, because even though you're alone on stage, you embody a multiplicity of beings, of characters, and there is like a polyphony in the play, you know, even though you're alone.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. I think this is very original. So how do you manage to be on stage a multiplicity of beings?
Yeah, well, that's actually something I'm happy that came across to you, because I wanted it to be about this multiplicity. But at first it was a big artistic problem, because I also wanted it to be about the fact that, you know, all these things are there at the same time. So in a way it's about also sort of horizontality, or this seeing, experiencing being in the world as this networky thing, which is, you know, all at the same time. But then if you make a work in theater, that's a work that exists in time. So I cannot do just me. I cannot tell a story, like I cannot speak 5 words at the same time. So I'm gonna have to put it in time. I'm gonna have to use linear time to tell a story about vertical, horizontality, you know, about everything. So in a way it felt like a sacrifice to the concept that I was going to use a linear sort of journey through this universe. But in a way it was also the answer to making it accessible to an audience. So to put these things in a very, hoe zeg je dat? Carefully built up, step-by-step journey through this thing that is everywhere all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we, for us, decided that's the way we're going to try to, me and the team that I've been working on it with, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we decided to do it.
Wow, that's super interesting. And I've also been thinking about the horizontal and the vertical, about the play, but in a different sense than the one that you mentioned, because I was thinking that you have a stage. Of course, it's kind of an horizontal stage, but inside the narrative, you take us both to the depths of like the ocean floor. Like there's this character of this fish, which is really from the depths, and you make us imagine some sort of diving down to this dimension, verticality going down. But then, in the succession that you mentioned in time, you incorporate the space shuttle, and we go upwards to the layers of the sky that only a rocket can get to. And all that is done while you stay in space, in the horizontality of the stage, you know?
Yeah.
So I also left, when I saw it in Den Haag, I left the theater thinking, wow, I took a cosmic trip upwards and downwards, and yet the artist didn't leave that confinement in space, you know? So how would you react to that idea also of incorporating an upwards and downwards journey in the play?
Yeah, I quite in an early stage I had the idea of first moving down, then moving up, and then moving inwards. That were like the 3 directions that I wanted to travel in. And I think that's also the beauty and the power of theater, that you can you can move to a place without, you know, physically moving to a place. And I try to make it in a way also a bodily experience, or a sort of an invitation to have a bodily experience while staying with your physical body in your seat. That's also something that I'm saying in the beginning of your play, like your body stays in your seat, but we are going to travel. So yeah, I mean, in a way, it's also a guided meditation, partly. But then I wanted to add also the part where it does become theatrical and about also making images and truly embodying characters in these worlds that we're traveling to.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You said that there's an axis going upwards, the space shuttle, an axis going downwards, which is the fish of the deep ocean, an axis going inwards, and then you become a cell.
Yeah.
So that's very imaginative also, you know. I would like to hear more about that. How do you become something that is so tiny and which doesn't have a consciousness perhaps, but it works inside an organic whole, you know? The cell part of the play, it's so fascinating, you know? But it's perhaps is it more challenging to be a cell than to be a fish?
Well, I don't know actually, because I maybe it was more the character that developed for the cell was more about some kind of innocence and pureness, because it is like the starting point of life, which is not shaped by, well, it's all like, of course, projection and imagination, but because it's not shaped by experiences or anything, and its only drive is existing and growing, maybe. But it was not really a struggle in that sense. It was just using my fantasy and creativeness in another way, I guess. And also because, well, in the play also the cell sort of reveals itself to be an egg cell, and also like my egg cell, and that was something that I had a lot of thoughts about, and in a way it was also really healing to, by embodying my own egg cell, being able to sort of have a conversation with this cell and ask this cell also my personal questions about what I would need, or maybe anyone in general would need, to feel like you are part of a family in this world. Do you need to make a family out of your own blood to have a family? And I think it was really, yeah. I mean, it was healing or really nice to be able to play with these thoughts in this way. So yeah, I liked doing that. Yeah.
And do you think that the cell part of the play connects with the very beginning also, where you address the audience, and it felt to me like some confession or some autobiographical grounding? Is that the way to read it? Like you start off the play, I'm a woman, I have 37 years old, I don't have kids, and so do you correlate also this autobiographical part of the play with playing with your egg cell?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there is definitely that is definitely a part where this whole trip that I'm taking, or this thought experiment that I'm doing, touches some very personal questions that I have. So that and also is not like the full. I didn't want it to be about that, like only, or that being the main point, but I did want to make that connection with these personal questions, because I think these are there for me, and these are also a part of why I may be so fascinated about thinking like this. Yeah.
And you mentioned also the guided meditation. I think it's a very interesting expression, because sometimes you say to the audience, please close your eyes and imagine. So you request the audience to imagine, and you are in a position of guiding this meditation. But also the play is very dynamic, you know. There's, I would say, action, not in a Hollywood sense, but lots of things happen in 1 hour. And that's interesting also because there are people who say that meditation is not exactly about being still, that it's possible for you to do meditation in movement. Like there are some cults, the whirling dervishes of the Sufis and stuff, that they feel like I'm gonna meditate through dancing, I'm gonna meditate through walking. So how do you feel about this meditation that you propose, but inside a work of art that is very dynamic? Yeah. So I got into a state of meditation. I felt I was still in the seat, but I was dynamically meditating about the cosmos and that network of beings. So I think there's a conception of meditation that you deal with that's very original.
Well, I think in general, acting, being on stage, performing on stage, is for me like a meditative act, because it's very much about focus. It's very much about being very open to what you're experiencing, and sort of investigating what you're experiencing while you're experiencing it, and also experiencing it in your body. So maybe in a way I am always meditating when I am acting, you know. And so that's one thing. And then on the other hand, I like the form of a guided meditation. In this performance, I use quite literally in some moments, and then in the other moments, I sort of lure the audience out of this meditation maybe, and sort of make it more about them watching a play. But still I wanted to, so it's interesting that you say you were staying in this meditative state, and I think it's also working that way because there is this, I mean, the play is dynamic, but we try to keep it in some way calm, or have it keep that same focus that really allows you to join me on every step. So yeah, I guess it's in that way a meditative play, or a meditative piece. And it's the whole thing. That's also something that I'm saying in the beginning. I see the whole thing as an invitation. So if you accept the invitation, then you are on this journey, which is maybe a meditative journey, a meditation on the universe.
But so you think that we can meditate in movement? There's no necessary stillness and stiffness to meditation, because I sometimes think that I get a little bit of revulsion from certain guided meditations, that they kind of say to you, you have to be still, your mind has to be a blank, and you have to be... I think, maybe, well, there's
I'm not an expert on meditation in that sense, but maybe for me it's about also when I'm on stage and when I'm in the right focus. It is about a certain clarity, and it's about not being in these meta thoughts about yourself and where you are, and having this commentary on yourself. You know, it's about losing that. It's about losing being above yourself and being able to be in yourself, and because of that reason being able to also be fully open. And I think it's not at all, maybe even easier to move. I'm also when I'm in like a yoga class or something and there is a meditation, I'm always like for some reason it's easier for me that way.
Mm-hmm. To move through the meditation, right? Yes, great. And I would like you to talk about music a little bit, because you do like musical theater. You also mentioned that you act in education with music theater. And this play, you've worked in collaboration with Roald van Oosten?
Yeah, Roald van Oosten, yes.
Yes, and the play has its original songs. And so talk a little bit about that, the process of creating the songs and performing and singing them. Also in a state of a certain aloneness, because you don't have a band,
no.
You don't have other musicians with you. But yet I felt the songs were very warm, and you don't feel like the aloneness of the singer-songwriter alone on stage. You manage somehow to make the music resound with some sort of this collectivity of beings, you know. So how was that process of making the songs and preparing to sing them? And you also play a little bit of keyboards, right?
Well, so yeah, I had been working with Roald for a previous piece. We made a piece about a sex robot together, so that was also about me embodying some non-human character. And yeah, I mean, so I think he's a great musician, and I was really happy that we could work together and create songs. And I think working on this, it went on sort of two separate levels. So sometimes we were already just jamming together, and we had some sketches of music. And then at a certain point, I came up with the concept of Gaia, Hypothesis, and these three worlds, like the deep sea, the space, and the inside of the human body, that I wanted to also translate into sound. And then we started working on that, and also intuitively also writing already some songs, and then the characters became clear, and then the songs related to the characters. And well, so these things, you know, corresponded with each other. And we sort of, I wanted it to be something that was just me on stage, because it is about being alone but still being together with everything at the same time. And I do think I don't feel alone on stage, because the music is so helpful to me, and it really also guides me through the piece, and helps me create these worlds, and really also I think is super important also for the audience to immerse. It makes it much easier and much more also seductive to sort of, I want it to be seductive in a way, and I think also the music is really, or it has a seductive element to it. So yeah, that's how, and I think this style of synth pop is something that Roald and I had been doing before, and just felt like a vocabulary we wanted to use, and also works well with also incorporating these just elements of pop culture and elements of drag and also making it also fun and seductive and entertaining, whilst also incorporating all these philosophical questions and talking about maybe more hard things. It's a way, I don't know, yeah.
And do you have the plan to release the songs and to have some sort of career as a singer-songwriter parallel to your career as an actress and performer?
I mean, we are definitely going to keep working together, and we are working on also Spotify release of the music for this. So maybe we also want to try to perform the songs live. So with Roald also playing, which will be a very interesting experiment, being more of a band setting. So yeah, I mean, I think in the end, my talent is in the combination with also theater. So I don't know, although I would love to be the singer of a rock band, I don't, it's not like my main career goal right now. But I love to play with music, and I love to be inspired by great musicians like Roald. And I think for a future, because I will definitely be working in music theater, and for a new piece that I'm working on, it's probably going to be a very different style musically. And I'm also, I think music theater especially is a very great field to explore also these speculative worlds in, because it is in itself already multi-dimensional, because it's music and theater. It is always already a collaboration or multidisciplinary experience. So it's already this world where things collide and where new visions or new worlds form. So that's why I think it's super, because that's why I like being in that field already. And that's why it's the right place to explore new worlds, I think.
Yes, when I've watched the Gaia Hypothesis, I was afterwards thinking that it would make such a great visual album or something like that, because we have a tendency right now in pop music of artists that do films to illustrate the albums they release. I've watched some that I think it's really extraordinary, like Janelle Monáe, she did the Dirty Computer. Beyoncé, she did the Black Skin, and TV on the Radio did also. So it's a very interesting intermingled art form that I think it's quite promising. Should think perhaps.
Well, I mean, well, we there is a filmmaker that we have been working also for the sex robot piece. Tanya Busking is her name, and we also made some videos from this piece, also like promotion videos and everything from it. And I do think it is visually strong also, and would be maybe suitable for that.
Yeah, it's very, very visually stunning.
Yeah.
And at the end of the play, after we go downwards to the ocean floor, we go upwards to the sky, we go inwards to the cell, there is a dance performance. Yeah. For me, it was kind of surprising. It's like a wild Dionysian dance that erupts on stage, and it gets the audience really in another mood. It seems we leave that guided meditation and we get inside some Dionysian theater, especially because, if I understood well, the character says, I'm probably gonna die tonight. This is like the end of the world party. And so how did that come about? I felt very impressed by the scene. I was surprised by that. But I also think it correlates to music theater as you think it.
I think for me this song was about... It is a bit... people interpret it in different ways, I have noticed. But for me, it was about like if you like the ultimate conclusion of an extreme connection. If I try to truly connect, in every direction to this universe, this world that I'm a part of, I sort of feel myself disappearing in the end. So the ultimate form of extreme connection is disappearance and like losing the ego and like disappearing yourself. And in that sense, it relates to dying. So it's not about sort of killing yourself in the sense of like suicide or anything. To me, it's about this feeling of disappearing out of yourself, actually, and in that sense, dying. And I feel that relates to also the feeling that you can have on a rave, or when you're like in this concert and you're like ecstatically feeling part of such a group that you're also sort of losing your ego. And then I was at a party like that, and a friend said to me like, I'm gonna die tonight. And then I was like, whoa, this should be a song, and this is a feeling that I that relates to what I'm researching in an artistic way. So that actually so that's for me is about like, it is a bit of a different chapter. It's also a choice of just wanting to end the show with a bang or something, but it's also about the ultimate I'm searching for the word het gevolg, like the ultimate consequence, of really trying to expand your consciousness in all these ways is about losing your consciousness in a way, or is about losing yourself.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's like the death of the ego that separates you from this network of being. So this song has a very liberating effect. I felt also that this "I'm Gonna Die Tonight" was not anything like suicidal or depressive.
No.
It was more like what Nietzsche describes of the Dionysian theater, the festivals where theater was born, where you had the people who followed the god Dionysus. They wanted some sort of ecstasy in community, and they did that through wine, through dancing, through music, but they wanted to get beyond individuality, like the death of the ego. And theater was also some sort of ancient technology to reach this collective ecstasy or something like that.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting that that is a way of reaching some kind of transcendence, or being able to get out of yourself or get out of your ego, and you can. So many people are searching for that in different ways. So you can, meditate, sit still and try to reach that level. You can be on a rave for 27 hours and also trying to reach that same experience of transcendence or of ecstasy maybe. And you can go to theater and you can, immerse yourself in other forms of art. There's many roads to ecstasy or to transcendence,
And I have a quote here that I think is very interesting. I would like to see how you react to that. It's from the DVD Dances of Ecstasy.
Oh.
And there is a practitioner of fire dance, and she says that by coming together, dancing and drumming and connecting with the earth and each other, we are healing some very profound disconnection. So I thought this was a very interesting phrase, because it makes some sort of a diagnosis of an illness we are suffering from this connection, and through the rhythm, the music, the dancing, you heal a disconnection.
Yeah, and you can't reconnect to something very old, probably, or so. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is very true, and it's also about experiencing this togetherness, which can happen in this kind of movements together, and I think which can also happen in your seat in a theater when it's about also experiencing togetherness, and the idea that you are with so many people. It also happens. I mean, I was singing in a choir for a while. That's also speaks to something really old to me when we are with all these people, not doing like the part that we feel is most important, but just doing this little part to make together this sound that we are collectively trying to reach. It also, I felt the same reconnection to something that I really wanted to connect to. I had the need to connect to that, or to experience that networky feeling again, or yeah.
And also, a thing that I would like to discuss a little bit, the Gaia hypothesis comes from scientists, James Lovelock, Lee Margulis, and it's an interesting phenomenon also when art and science, they intermingle. So you bring this concept, which also comes from Greek myth, the goddess Gaia, the whole of the earth as a living organism. So talk a little bit about that relationship with science, through art, how these two fields can come together, can intermingle, how important that is for the future of the species, because sometimes you read some books written by scientists and it's not good reading, you almost get the feeling that the scientists should read more novels and poets for them to express themselves, for those important ideas to reach the people in their hearts and minds.
I think there is a need for artists to step in where at this point where science and maybe scientists can no longer go, or because maybe they don't have the scientific facts yet, or because it's not according to the rules of science, and that's a great area where that's a great playing field for artists, and not only a great playing field, but also an important question that we maybe are called to answer to, because it is also where maybe someone else that doesn't read science can step in and like for the piece that I did, I worked really hard also on with the whole team. We all worked really hard on making it also easy or seductive, and then to lure you into embracing these thoughts and philosophies that other people work really hard on, and make them accessible also in a way. So yeah, I think and also about so what
for me it's really fascinating to think how science and myth, they always intermingle, because when you read science nowadays, they are thinking about Gaia Prometheus.
Yeah.
You know, there's no divide between science and art. You can't keep them apart.
No.
It's a false idea to think science is in this field and art is in this field.
Yeah.
Because the scientists, they name their theories with the Greek myth,
and usually
from the poets. You know.
But I think also because that happens also because we are always looking for ways to, and I think art, mythology, astrology, it's all ways of humanity to try to give shape or express forms of knowledge that we cannot yet comprehend rationally or scientifically, or so there is all these concepts or intuitive feelings or symbolizations, mythological concepts, whatever, that later on maybe are being sort of partially described by science as well. But still we always feel the limits of rational knowledge or Western knowledge, very much, of course. The Western concept of knowledge, that a lot of mythology, art, oral history, all these things have already body memory. They already exist.
And do you feel perhaps that Gaia as a myth correlates with feminism in a sense? Because of course it's a goddess and not a god. And of course it's been suggested by Lovelock and by Lynn Margulies, you know. And I have a feeling or a guess, you know, that the worldview based on Gaia, it's way better for the development of our relationships with each other than this patriarchal God that it's imposed upon us by Christianity and Judaism and Islam. So I think it's very interesting also how a goddess, Gaia, is brought forth by science, but it's a science that's telling us to change our ways because we are damaging the equilibrium of this mother, you know?
Well, I mean, at first when I started reading about the Gaia hypothesis, I was also reading this piece by Latour about everything that Gaia is not, of course, and then how, in a way, you are, you know, if you say Gaia is a mother, then you are already like putting something on top of this thing that we are in. But I do like the concept of like a female power, or the proposal to think about more it from a female wisdom. Well, I mean, I think in general, I've recently been talking also about a lot of with a lot of animal activists, and a lot of them are female, and I think in general being open to empathy with other creatures is maybe a feminist act, because we all know what it's like to be objectified, to not be taken seriously. So maybe we are open to the fact that the main stream is not the right stream in general, and that maybe that is like a I don't know, a feminist view. Yeah, and of course the Christian God relates maybe to the Western patriarchic idea of authority and top-down guidance instead of being part of a network.
Yes, I like that critique of the top-down authoritarian God, you know. And I also read Latour, and I think there's an interesting idea that he puts forward also about a war of the words. It's an expression he uses, which is not the one that in science fiction A.J. Wells described between humans and aliens, but he's talking about a new war that we're going through, and he opposes, on one side we have the modern humans, and on the other side you have Gaia's demos. He calls it something like that. You have the beings that compose Gaia, all the biodiversity, all the plants, the insects, the animals, and there is a war of the Gaians against the modern humans who created industrial capitalism, extractivism, and fossil fuel burnings. And of course, when I read this, I thought, well, it's an interesting idea, but it's a duality.
Yeah.
And it borders on some sort of manichaeistic thinking. Yeah. We should follow this because these are screwing up, you know. But I think your play correlates a little bit with what Latour is trying to think about, but in a poetic sense, and without preaching the way, you know, you should go this way, this path is the one.
I mean, well, I haven't read this piece that you are talking about right now, but I also don't know about like a good guy, bad guy situation. But I mean, I did really like when I was embodying this fish character and thinking about the world where the fish lives, and then at the same time being this space shuttle and being in her world. I do like that they were both seeing millionaires, like rich men, penetrating their worlds and trying to reach it. Like there is these millionaires that like build crazy machines to go as deep into the ocean as possible, and I mean, me as a fish was just looking at it and thinking, why? What are you looking for down here? Why do you want to come here? And at the same time, there was, of course, this battle going on between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, who can go into space with this phallic-shaped object. So I felt there. I mean, there was a bit of tongue-in-cheek criticism to those creatures in there, of course, yeah.
And it's a very funny moment in the play when you're inside an audience and you can feel the laughter of the people. And when you do this satire about the billionaires in space, it's very funny. But you also deal with something very serious, which is like trash orbiting our planet. But I remember very well that the people were really laughing aloud in this monologue of the space shuttle, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fun because especially when there was a lot of young people in the audience, they really got the not just about Jeff and Elon and everything. And sometimes when there was a few times when there was only old people in the audience, they were like, I don't know. So that was really but it is about, when I thought about this character that is in space, which is like a space shuttle that is not in use anymore, it made me think of like all this garbage that is floating in space. And I was also just questioning, is this part of Gaia? is it part of Gaia and does it belong and yeah, just I don't know. I'm confused about that, but I'm also sad about all this. I mean, all this trash that is there.
I also don't know if a space shuttle or some sort of machinery like computers and data centers, does that apply to the concept of Gaia? You know, the man-made Anthropocene world, it has transformed Gaia, and now Gaia is that also. You know. So.
I mean, it is a form of intelligence now that we are sharing our planet with. So. I do think we need to sort of empathize with that intelligence as well. Yeah, I think so. It's.
And your T-shirt is very interesting. Intergalactic empathy. It's the first time I heard that expression.
I put it on for today. I thought it was it matched.
That's empathy in a very broad sense, you know.
Yeah.
Because the play got me thinking about interspecies empathy, of course, but I think intergalactic empathy gets into the science fiction realm. And are you a science fiction reader? Do you like it?
I mean, I will not claim to know to be an expert at all, but I do like it. Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I can appreciate a good science fiction, and it's I think also it's thinking about certain problems. It's the only fiction, or not even fiction, it's the only way of thinking that still makes sense, because we are reaching the limits of what we can think of when we are not in the sci-fi realm. Like, we need to come up with concepts, worlds, proposals that are based on something else than what we are working with right now. So that's why I think it is fun, but it is also essential. Yeah.
As some sort of tool of speculation about the future also, do you think? Because I think many science fiction, of course, it has an entertainment aspect. It's quite funny if you read the great novels about space travel or something. But actually, when you go deep into the works of art, they make you speculate profoundly about the paths that mankind is taking.
Yeah.
And also sometimes the sci-fi, when it's dystopian, it scares you, and it kind of puts an alarm call in your head and says, well, beware of this road, because it can lead to a very bad place. So I'm also writing about that, how a work of science fiction can frighten you. You can fear a fictional scenario, and then you can somehow change your action in the present in order not to take this path that was described by the artist and shift to another route, you know.
Yeah, and I think that is a very valid point. And I also think that, in a positive sense, it can suggest to you all the knowledge that we don't have yet, but that might be there. Like, for example, I read this amazing, I think it's quite a well-known piece. It's about, who was the writer, great female author. It's about a language of ants and dolphin language. You know the piece? I should look it up.
Is it a book, an article?
It is a book. It is a small. I think it's by Le Guin, Ursula
Le Guin.
Yeah. And it's like these. It's like a fictional magazine, fictional scientific magazine about animal and plant languages, and it's about different scientists writing about their work and also criticizing each other's work. And so there's this discussion in how to interpret different dialects in penguin language, for example. And to me that was like, of course, in 20, 50, I don't know, years, we will be having these discussions. And this is to show that, of course, there is this depth in animal languages as well that maybe we cannot reach yet. And I think right now that I'm thinking about it, because I am working on a piece about chicken language right now, and I think maybe that reading that novel also planted the seed for that. So I think also in a, you said like how science fiction can sort of be a warning or like suggest like a scenario that you don't want to go to. It also can suggest and also seduce you into being open to the richness of other knowledges and this appreciation that we talked about, and the suggestion of forms of knowledge that we don't have yet rationally, but we know that they're there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, excellent. I actually have a few questions that I think that correlate to that, but I think perhaps it's the last section. I'll actually quote myself in that article that I wrote after watching the Gaia Hypothesis. I said that we are urgently in need of going beyond anthropocentric perspectives, and that the Gaia Hypothesis was like a work of art that was seducing the audience should think beyond the human and this perspective that we have, that it's perhaps at the root of the climate crisis, because we relate everything to the human when we should relate to the biggest of the holes that we are inside, you know. And it seems that your ethics as an artist is the one of making kin with other beings and trying to understand other consciousness, other kinds of minds, you know. And this is very interesting because in human sciences we have lots of authors writing about that, like Donna Haraway, and anthropologists also in Brazil, like Viveiros de Castro. And would you agree with that idea that this play, the Gaia Hypothesis, gives a contribution for us to go beyond the anthropocentric perspective, so it seduces you to become, in a playful way, something other than human?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is what the world needs right now. I mean, like, we need, and I also think more and more people are sort of becoming aware of us humans being in need to do that, but we are looking for ways. We are all looking for ways how to do this. So, and not only artists, but a lot of artists are also working on, ways of giving voice to the more than human, and also from I think that's also where like fascination and urgency come together. Like you feel that we want to move there because we need to move there. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that is a very, very urgent question, and also we need many more. How do you say it? Like proposals for that, and many more attempts also, because it's just attempts. Because we can never. We are human. We are confined, or like we are doomed to be human, but we can do attempts to be better at not only being human, or being like a responsible human, or being an empathic. What's the word?
Yeah, empathetic
human.
Yes, and empathetic not only towards humans.
And multi-species empathy, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, multi-species empathy. Yeah, that's great. I think interspecies empathy defines quite well the play, you know. Yeah. And also when I saw it, I've written about it, and then I came back to the article, and I'm not really satisfied with it. After our talk today, I think it can be really enriched. And one concept that I think perhaps it's appropriate is shamanism, because I was reading this interesting book by Nicolas Bourriot. He's a French philosopher of art, Aesthetics of the Capitalocene, and he talks a lot about some artists that act a little bit like the figure of the shaman in traditional societies, in indigenous tribes, because the shaman, he is a little bit a guide to another sort of consciousness, and he's also like the medicine man. If you have a community that is suffering from some trauma, or is suffering from an illness of disconnection, alienation, the shaman is the healer. But also to heal, he usually takes some plant that gets him into a psychoactive journey, and he can become other than human. So he becomes the tiger, he becomes the panther, he becomes the ego. So he goes into a dream stage, and the messages from his journey will heal his community. And I was thinking a little bit about that experience of watching the Gaia Hypothesis, and how you have acted a little bit like in a shamanic vibe. I don't know if that is intentional, but Nicolas Bourriot writes about so many artists that are acting shamanically, and that perhaps you have acted unintentionally like a shaman or a shawoman or something like that. Have you given it any thought? Is this concept something that you're familiar with?
Well, I mean, I think sort of putting myself on the same level as a shaman would feel not right. I wouldn't feel comfortable claiming, to be any kind of figure like that. But the experience of, I mean, I've had experiences with taking ayahuasca, for example, and to experience, I think that experience has influenced the piece. So this element of spiritually being able to connect to these other creatures, and me also trying to bring across that experience, maybe that's where it relates to each other, I guess. So yeah, maybe in that sense. But I feel like the art of shamanism or the craft of shamanism is something, I don't know if I would be comfortable claiming a place in there. But
yes, perhaps as an analogy.
Yeah.
Of course, I understand that you are not claiming to be that figure because, of course, this figure exists in a community, in a ritual setting, and it's some sort of authority also in medicine. But it also correlates with science in a sense, but not science as we know it in the West, that you go to the university and institute, but there is science in what shaman does. Because he knows about the plants in the forest. To make the ayahuasca tea, you have to put together 2 species separated in the territory. You have to cook them together. There's a formula, there's botanics, there's,
Yeah, maybe also in the sense that you sort of, also as an actor, as a body on stage, you sort of function as a vessel to bring across this thoughts or these experiences that you're sharing through your body. Yeah, I mean, maybe there is a sort of things that are like
a vessel. Yeah, that's a very interesting image, a vehicle for the cosmos.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 questions. If you don't want to answer it, feel at ease to refuse. But it's my curiosity as not only audience, but someone who has been studying this play, and about your state of consciousness when you go on stage. I was wondering if you are sober or if you are under the influence of any substance, because I think here in the Netherlands it's easier to discuss that because it's the legalization of this substance has advanced a lot, so you're wondering about that. And to make a confession to you, I think the play has such an impact on me. Because I had hashish in my consciousness, I was really...
Actually, there was more people in the audience that have experienced it when they took something, and I think I understand. I mean, when I'm performing, I don't take I don't take any substance in that way, but I think it's also, we were talking, of course, about different ways to reach a certain kind of awareness or a certain kind of mental state, and of course taking hashish or some other stuff can stimulate that. And for me, when I am performing, I am also in a way maybe stimulated because I am in this also meditative state that we were talking about. And I always think it's really interesting that I've heard this, and I didn't check it, but I think it's true. Like in Germany, that you are, as an actor, you are not allowed to drive maybe 2 hours after the play because you're not you're under influence. And I have experienced it, like driving really soon after a show. You are under influence. You have all this adrenaline in your blood, and you are a bit. You can maybe feel a bit drunk or a bit of like in another mental state. So I guess through playing I do bring myself in another state, but I don't take things in advance.
That's very interesting. And I think this is my last question. And a thing that I thought interesting in the play, you're on stage almost all the time and you change costumes in plain sight. So I was wondering, how do you deal like emotionally? Because like you're already very exposed and you're changing clothes and changing costumes, does it correlate with the fact that the play is also like about metamorphosis? You go from the fish to the space shuttle to the cell to the dancer, and you didn't want to conceal the change in your material body, so you decide to change your costume on plain sight.
Yeah, I think we wanted it to be about the fact that I am trying to be all these characters in a way at the same time, in time, but still at the same time. And we worked with a really amazing costume designer, Anne Rikstgast is her name, and the concept we came up with quite soon was that it should be, in the beginning, everything, and then peeling off a layer after layer, to sort of attempt to get to some kind of essence. And yeah, we wanted to show it because it's also really cool to see how everything is on top of each other. And that is also part of the attempt that I'm doing in this piece. It is about, you can see also the attempt, you can also see me changing different things on my vocal computer. You can see me creating this illusion, and you can see me doing it. It's about trying to create magic, but not at all hiding that you are trying to create it. So that's also why it's not like smoke and I'm someone else. You just see me doing it, and then still hopefully you are willing to believe and continue with me.
Yes, amazing. Well, I want to thank you a lot for sharing so much. My appreciation for the Gaia hypothesis is wider than ever. And do you have any last remarks that you would like to share? Or do you think perhaps you could do a little bit of the text of the play or something that could be a real good ending?
Well, no, I don't think I should do text, but I think maybe it should, I don't know where this will go, but I think it's just really nice to also say it. So we've already talked about Rolf van Oosten that I've worked with, Anne Rikstgast, the costume designer, Thomas van Oosten Thomas Goots directed the piece, and I've also worked very nice with Emke Idema. She was like a conceptual sparring partner. So it's the funny thing about this piece is I am alone, but it's very much like a collaborative piece with all these. It's a collaborative piece with the whole universe, of course, but because I in a way I didn't make anything up. I just looked up everything that was there and expressed it. But it's also a big collaboration between some great human collaborators. So yeah. It being a solo, it being about loneliness, and it being about a feeling of togetherness, it was also in the core of creating it. So that's nice. Maybe that's a nice thought to end it.
Did you present it only in the Netherlands or in other countries also?
I presented it as well in London on a festival, and hopefully there will be future performances in other places.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good. I love that expression that the Gaia hypothesis was a collaboration with the whole universe. That's really amazing. And I think it correlates with the title of the article I tried to write, which says the cosmos fits inside the theater in the one-woman cyber opera. Yeah. So.
No, yeah, I mean, when I read your article, I was thinking about, you said like what happened to Lynn Margulis, right? It was a good question, and there was a point in the rehearsals that we were sort of feeling that there were too many details in the text, and sort of narrowing it down to, and then I sort of sacrificed Lynn, but I do feel bad about that. So I feel like I should do like a whole piece on on Lynn Margulis maybe. So I try to make up for that I did that. And maybe now that the piece really works, there is room to put her name in again.
Yeah, there's a letter inside the play, dear James Lovelock. I was wondering, well, where's the letter, dear Lynn?
Actually, there was a song also, Dear Lynn.
Dear Lynn.
But it didn't have to do with Lynn, but it wasn't good enough for other reasons. It had nothing to do with Lynn, but yeah, it didn't make the play.
Awesome. That's an amazing invitation for anyone who wants to see the Gaia Hypothesis. It's a collaboration with the whole universe inside the theater room. So thanks a lot. It was lovely talking to you. And thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for talking to me. It was a pleasure.
Yes.